Now, the Samsung S95B has had a very busy first year, with many ups and downs. But should you still buy it in 2023? Or should you wait for the S95C? Well, hopefully this video will answer some of those questions. Don't forget to hit the red button to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up and click the notification bell to get my next video first. Launched with a fanfare last year, the S95B marked Samsung's long-awaited return to the OLED market after many years away. Promising incredible brightness, Samsung skipped the normal OLED panel and instead launched with a QD-OLED. I was one of the first to purchase, and initially I was blown away with the brightness. Now, there were some obvious cost savings, and I'll come onto those a little bit later, and that was mainly when it came to build quality. But it still delivered a great-looking TV with an exceptional picture. As with most manufacturers, the price of the TV has dropped substantially during the year, making the S95B, in my opinion, the best value premium TV of the year. But is it still worth buying now in 2023, or should you wait? Now, one of these factors will be down to the release of the updated S95C, which should be with us in a couple of months. And this now comes in a hugely requested 77-inch model, and I do have to say that is the model that I am the most excited about getting. One thing I'm really nervous about buying the new S95C at launch is whether it will stay at its original brightness. So with Samsung last year and the S95B, it initially launched incredibly bright, gained amazing reviews, and then, unfortunately, in a later software update, they dropped the nit level by around 300. Now, that left me and many others with a real sour taste in our mouths, and it's left me thinking, are they going to do that again this year? I guess we're going to have to wait and see, but it's something to bear in mind. So what will the S95C be compared to the S95B? Well, one early viewer of both of these models side by side described the differences as profound, with the new model being significantly brighter, and Samsung themselves quoted as saying it delivered around 2,000 nits in a 3% window, which, if followed through to the consumer models, will be a remarkable difference, as my S95B currently delivers around 1,300 nits. Colour improvements were also noted, and this is one area that I do feel that they do need to lift, because the S95B struggles to deliver the same type of colour reproduction as on my Sony A95K. I recently talked about this in my review of Sony's A95K in 2023, so be sure to check that out. In all honesty, with little information confirmed, we will likely have to wait until I get them side by side and I can measure the brightness. But it's fair to assume it will be a markup. But so will the price. And if rumours are to be believed, then I'm not sure whether these improvements will fully justify the price, which some are reporting could be double the current retail value of the S95B. Maybe with this in mind, and either your budget is understandably limited or you are looking to take your first step into the QD-OLED technology, then perhaps now's the perfect time to bag yourself the S95B and then pocket the saving. One other thing to consider is that there is going to be a new model as well as larger versions. This year you'll be able to buy an S90C, which is a slightly inferior model to the S95C, but this will also come in 55, 65 and 77-inch versions. The S95C will feature the popular One Connect box, and this has been present on high-end QLEDs and is very popular. However, it's not known if there's going to be major differences other than that compared to the S95C and the S90. There definitely will be some, probably only 2 HDMI 2.1 ports on the S90C compared to 4 on the S95C. It'll be things like that. If you do stick to last year's S95B, then you're still getting an incredible TV which offers incredible value. Anyone coming from an LCD TV will be blown away by the perfect blacks, infinite contrast, and overall picture quality. One thing to look out for on last year's TVs, though, is build quality. The panels are definitely less rigid than the relevant alternatives from Sony and LG, and many people, including myself, have noticed a slight bend in the panel. One area that I wasn't massively impressed with was the OS on the S95B. It occasionally seemed really laggy and bloated with ads and other recommended features. Now this just overcomplicated that homepage. There was also a strange navigation issue which slowed switching between sources, and this did become a little bit frustrating. The TV came with 2 remote controls, and these were fine. There was one which was more of an old-fashioned style, and a newer, slimmer and far better remote that was great to use and featured USB-C charging and also a solar panel on the back to give it extra charging boost, and this was a really nice touch. When looking at TVs, the main concern for me is always picture quality. Not only watching 4K Ultra HD material, but as many do, a TV needs to perform well in SDR, watching normal TV. I've hooked mine up to a normal 1080p cable/skybox in the UK, and it does a fantastic job at upscaling. This is, in my opinion, on a par with all of the best TVs on the market at the moment. Black crash is kept to a minimum, and lagging was almost never seen, and standard definition also looked remarkably okay. For you gamers out there, then gaming on the S95B is exceptional. Response times are near zero, and they perfectly handle motion. As Samsung's TVs are now capable of a 144Hz refresh rate, this gives even better motion handling than on the LG range, for instance. Now, it didn't really matter whether you were playing first-person, role-play or driving simulator games, they all performed incredibly well. And there's also a game setting and game dashboard that's really informative and also easy to operate. So I've had this TV now for around 10 months, and I've ran my test to see whether there's any sign of any burn-in or dirty screen effect, and I'm pleased to report there isn't any at all. Blooming was also not present, and subtitle motion on this TV is silky smooth. Demonstrating the sound on these type of TVs is always quite tricky. It does have a form of surround sound, a virtual surround sound, which works okay. It's not amazing, but it is fairly good. Now, it's certainly not as good as a standalone 5.1 surround sound system or even a soundbar hooking up with a sub. Now, there is a way that you can, with a compatible soundbar, feature the TV sound with your soundbar to create what Samsung call their Samsung Q Symphony. That I haven't tried though. One feature missing on the S95B is Dolby Vision, and it will not be present on the S95C either. Now, for many people that love Dolby Vision, this will be a problem. For me, it doesn't really impact my viewing as the HDR performance on this is so good, but it's definitely a feature that I do love on my Sony A95K and also on my LG C2. Lastly, before I summarise, let's have a look at the design. Now, assuming that you've not received a warped panel, and if you do, immediately send it back, the TV does look stunning. But on closer look and feel, you can tell that savings have been made. The chassis, don't get me wrong, still looks great, and I do love that central stand, and its incredible thin design. And also those minimal bezels are amongst the best that I've seen, but the whole thing does still feel a little bit plasticky. And this TV does feel much more fragile than any other OLED I've ever had. Now, I'm not sure whether this would handle being bumped or knocked around very well, or moved around a lot, so that's something for you to bear in mind. Don't get me wrong, it looks amazing, but it's just not as rigid and not as solid as some competitors. So in summary, my friends, the S95B is a great TV. It's not perfect, and there are some negatives which do crop up, but they're not always present. For instance, the flimsy screen or the warped screen, it's not on every one. The average sound performance, well, that's easily overcome with a soundbar and a subwoofer. And the laggy and bloated operating system, well, you don't actually end up using that often. The main thing is this picture is incredible, and the value of this TV at its current level is undeniably exceptional. So in my opinion, the saving on this TV means that it's well worth considering buying this in 2023. And bear in mind, if you are going to be looking at buying the S95C, you'll be paying the very top price for that. And it's probably going to take at least 4, 5, 6 months for that one to start dropping. So for the saving, I'm not sure whether you're going to be getting the benefit. So as I sit today, with limited knowledge on the new model, I do have to say that I'm still recommending getting the S95B at that massively reduced price. Guys, that's my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thanks for watching, folks.